One morning, the government made an announcement that sounded like a miracle. They said they were going to fix everything: the debt, the poverty, the struggling families. The answer was simple, they said. They would print more money. Trillions of fresh dollars rolling out like a golden tide. People cheered, news anchors smiled. Every screen in America showed the same promise: a new beginning. For a moment, it felt like hope had weight again, like numbers on a screen could erase years of pain. Folks believed it. You could feel the relief pouring through the streets, like a long breath everyone had been holding finally released. At first, it was beautiful. Every family saw their accounts fill overnight. Groceries no longer seemed expensive. Rent didn't sting the same way. People who had been one paycheck from disaster were finally breathing. For the first time in a long time, the country felt alive. Folks went out to dinner, bought new shoes, filled shopping carts with all the things they'd put off for years. It felt like the clock had turned back to some better time, before bills and worry and fear had hardened everyone's faces. Even the small-town diner was packed again, the sound of laughter echoing between coffee cups and pancakes. Then, slowly, something shifted. Prices began to rise, quietly at first. The loaf of bread that was $2 yesterday became $4 today. The gas station sign blinked new numbers every few hours like it couldn't keep up. A man would walk into the store with $100 and leave with half a bag of groceries. The joy began to drain out of the streets. The same people who once smiled at each other in relief now looked confused, then anxious. Everyone had more money, but it bought less and less each day. Soon the chaos took over. Landlords doubled rent, saying they needed to adjust for inflation. Car dealers stopped selling because they didn't know what anything was worth anymore. Supermarkets ran out of stock because nobody wanted to trade goods for money that was losing value by the hour. People began bartering again: gas for bread, tools for meat. A few desperate men stood on corners with cash in their hands, begging to trade it for something real. You could see fear in their eyes, not the kind that comes from danger, but from confusion. They had done everything right. They had trusted the system, and now it was melting in their hands. The richer folks thought they'd be fine. They moved their money into gold, land, art, things that couldn't be printed. But even they began to feel the cracks. Their workers stopped showing up. Truck drivers refused to deliver for worthless pay. The machines slowed, the lights dimmed, and for the first time, the powerful realized that money alone couldn't make the world move. It was trust, invisible, fragile trust, that kept everything running. And once that was gone, no number on a piece of paper could bring it back. After months of confusion, people began to understand the truth. They started trading again, not with dollars, but with what they could offer. A mechanic fixed a farmer's truck in exchange for food. A teacher offered lessons for eggs and milk. The towns started to come back to life not because of printed money, but because people remembered how value really worked, through effort, honesty, and exchange. The government tried to print even more, but by then, no one cared. People had learned what the money had hidden for decades. Wealth isn't the paper, it is the people. By the time things calmed down, the world looked different. Cities were smaller. People grew more of their own food, fixed their own homes, helped their neighbors. The rich weren't hated, but they weren't worshipped either. Everyone had seen what happens when a nation tries to make wealth out of nothing. And deep down, they all carried the same quiet truth, that real value doesn't come from the press of a machine. It comes from the press of human hands, from work that matters, and from trust that can't be faked. When you step back from that story, there's a quiet, stubborn truth hiding in plain sight. People think money is the thing that makes life work, that if the numbers in their bank account grow, everything else falls into place. But it's never really about the paper. It's about trust. It's about knowing that when you work, when you trade, when you plan for tomorrow, the system will honor your effort. When money loses that meaning, the illusion falls apart. Suddenly, the world feels heavy, confusing, like walking on a frozen lake that could crack under your feet at any moment. Humans are wired for stability more than wealth. That is why the first moments after the money was printed felt like heaven. Everyone's fears lifted at once. They believed they could finally breathe. But we also have this sneaky habit of measuring ourselves by the numbers on a screen, not the work we do or the value we create. The moment those numbers lose sense, panic spreads, because people realize they've been leaning on something invisible all along. That's what inflation does. It strips away the illusion of security, showing us how little control we really have when we forget how real value works. The scenario also exposes how fragile systems are. Work, goods, and services are connected in ways most of us take for granted. When money is suddenly abundant, all the invisible threads start to tangle. You can't just print trust. You can't print effort. You can't print the hours a farmer spends in the sun or the repairs a mechanic labors over to keep a truck moving. The economy isn't a machine you can restart with a button. It's a living, breathing network of people. And when that network is treated like it's all numbers, chaos sneaks in. But there's a softer lesson too, the one people often miss. When the dust settled, folks didn't stop working, didn't stop trading, didn't stop trying. They just remembered what mattered: effort, cooperation, and real value. Money became a tool again, not a magic wand. It's a reminder that the things you can't print, trust, skill, honesty, relationships, are what really make life work. And the more we depend on printed promises instead of human action, the poorer we feel, no matter what's in our account. In a way, this is the same lesson in everyday life. Inflation, debts, paychecks, bills, they're all just symptoms of something deeper, how we understand and respect value. People crave security, not dollars. They crave meaning, not numbers. And the world works best when people connect over what they can do, not just what they're given. When we forget that, we chase illusions, and chaos quietly waits in the corners of our lives. Life doesn't reward the paper you hold. It rewards what you create, nurture, and share. That's why, even in a world where money is printed endlessly, some people are left behind. Not because they didn't work, but because the system forgot the human side of wealth. It's a quiet lesson for anyone paying bills, saving for the future, or dreaming of more. Value is in motion, in labor, in trust, not in the ink stamped on a note. And when we step back, we see how resilient humans are. Even after panic and loss, people find a way to rebuild. They trade, they work, they help each other. That's the real economy. That's what keeps a town, a neighborhood, a family, a country alive when everything else fails. Money is fragile, but human effort is strong. That's the truth the story whispers, quietly but insistently, into every corner of our lives. If this made you rethink what money really means, you might also want to see our last story about what if the world stopped using money. It explores the same idea from another angle, how people navigate value when the system itself disappears, and shows just how much of our lives depend on understanding what truly matters. Because at the end of the day, it's not the paper or the numbers or the wealth we chase. It's the life we build and the trust we carry that shapes everything else.